My name is Laura. My husband is behind the video camera, so you're only going to hear his voice. We're going to be discussing today what happens when you sleep.
You snore.
There you go. Now you all know I snore at night.
I wasn't talking about you, but not just let the whole world know.
I think everybody snores to some degree. I never hear myself, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay, any more secrets you want to let out as long as we're at it? While you're sleeping?
I'm asleep, I don't know. Only you could tell me if you're awake.
It's like when you kick me, and then you...
I kick you?
Sure. No, you don't kick me.
Okay, so what really happens when we sleep?
Well, we know for sure that you snore. So we get that one out.
I know I dream. I know I have dreams.
Okay.
And sometimes I remember the dreams. Other times I don't. There are times when I don't want to remember the dreams and I wake up. My husband sometimes has to wake me up from dreams because I'm yelling in my sleep. Sometimes I start laughing so hard in my dream that I wake up laughing. Or sometimes I start crying in my dreams and I wake up crying and I'm like, oh wait, what was that dream about? I'm waking up with this emotion. So I know a lot of things happen when we're asleep.
When you're asleep.
When I'm asleep.
So I don't think I do most of those things that you do, boy.
Well, you do mumble in your sleep.
That's because I'm talking to my wife. See? How is she going to hear me if I don't?
My
speak
husband
up?
has had a few times where he was yelling in his sleep and I had to shove him to wake him up. He's like, oh, thanks, I had to get out of that one.
Why are you discussing my business on
I'm just talking about what happens when we sleep.
Don't be talking about what happens
So
when I
let's
sleep.
talk about people in general, not just us then.
When I'm screaming in my sleep, it's because you're not listening. So I have to scream at you.
Oh my gosh. Well, yes, that's actually true.
It is? Really? What makes you
You
say
told
that?
me so many times. I was yelling for you. It took you long enough to wake me up. Anyway,
Oh.
so there we go. All right. Is there a specific time that we should be going to sleep by?
Sleep by what?
Like at night. Is there a specific time in which we should be asleep?
Well, I think this is like a communist country or something.
No. From a spiritual standpoint.
Oh, okay.
Our videos are always spiritually based. Why would you bring government into
I thought we
this?
were in China. Curfew, go to bed by 10.
We're not talking about, kids telling parents what time they should go to bed. I'm just saying in general, from a spiritual
Kids telling
standpoint.
parents?
You got that.
Well,
Parents telling kids.
Like, the word
Well,
Peter
no,
Pan?
see. Growing up in my household, we told our parents when we were going to bed.
When you were going to bed?
Yes.
No, but you said kids told
Tell
their parents when they were
they're
going to bed.
Yes. That's the way
Oh,
it
I
was
thought
in
you were
my
telling
house.
your parents when your parents were going to go to bed.
Oh,
So that's a very
I see.
statement.
No, yes, I'm sure there are kids who do tell their parents, you should go to bed now. I'm going to stay up and play games,
You're sure about that?
I'm not that sure,
Oh.
but I feel certain that it has happened.
Oh, okay. I don't know about any of that.
Anyway, getting back on topic though, is from the spiritual standpoint, is there a particular time by which we should be asleep?
Well, let's go back to what you said, and then we'll come back to your question about the experiences you've had, right? You've had dreams, and some you remember, some you don't remember. The question is, why do you remember some dreams and some you don't remember?
That's a great question.
Right? So
I
let's
would
start
like to
with
get
that.
the answer to that one.
Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think maybe the dreams that I remember the most are the ones where I feel a lot of emotion involved with them, or there are experiences that really stand out. Like I'm just going to remember this because it was such a unique experience.
Unique as in scary?
No,
Oh, okay.
not unique as in scary. It could be unique as in it was so heartwarming and wonderful in this situation.
Oh. who were you having heartwarming experiences with in your dream, huh?
Oh my goodness. Do you see how this goes?
What's this heartwarming experience while you're sleeping?
Like when my grandmothers who have passed all of a sudden appear and they're talking with me in my dream, that's a heartwarming experience for me.
Oh.
Oh, I know. Or my dad all of a sudden appears.
Uh-huh.
That's wonderful too.
Well, how do you know?
And I had my
imagining
uncle.
that?
I could be imagining it. That's why I call it a dream. And then I tell you about it so you could tell me if it really happened or if it was just a previous embodiment or, what took place there.
Well, if it's the previous embodiment, then it still happened.
True.
Uh-huh. So could you imagine it? Not really. Normally a dream, nobody imagines a dream normally. A dream occurs for a specific reason.
Now I've had some dreams where you've said, no, that's just all you. Your mind made that up.
That's because I'm messing with you. When I say your mind made that up, I don't mean that you made it up. What I meant by that is that because of attachments and possessions, things were created. But that's not you doing it on purpose. Those are the attachments doing that.
Okay. See, I thought the attachments and possessions only gave me the nightmares.
Well, that too. But depending on the type that you have. And they could have you do, let's say for example, you have an attachment from someone that passed, like a lost soul, right? Mm-hmm. And this person just loved farming. You might have a dream about farming all night long. Mm-hmm. Because they want you to experience what they experience. Remember, they're living their life through you.
Okay.
All right, so in your dream, what you call a dream, they take you on this journey where you're farming.
Where I'm watching someone do something.
That's correct. Or if it's someone that was a gangster, you might see this person going and beating up people or robbing people. Mm-hmm. It all depends on the attachment that's affecting you. So that's one type of dream, or we call it a dream. But it's not really a dream, is it? It's an influence by an attachment.
Okay.
So we want to be able to differentiate that. Now with a dream, we always said there are two types of dreams. You have the one, well, they're identified as dreams, but then there are two types. What are they?
Well, one is the previous embodiment,
right,
where you're seeing a past life.
How do you know it's your previous embodiment experience?
For me, because
this is for everybody.
For everybody, because it's like in a movie form. It's like you're watching a movie, and you can see yourself. Other times you're in your, point of view, but then you'll see a scene where you actually see yourself doing things.
So that's a previous embodiment experience, right?
Right.
Normally, because you see yourself with other people, like in a different era. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you'll see why I stress that in a moment. The other type of dream is what?
The kind where you're getting a lesson?
Well, no, you talk about the one where you see yourself. So what's the other one? You see yourself doing something. The other is what? You're actually doing something.
You're actually doing it, right.
You don't see yourself doing it.
You're doing it.
You're involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's hands-on. Somebody's chasing you and you're running. Right? It's literally that way.
Right.
So that's the other type of dream. And those are the ones that people normally have. They don't remember the other one as much, but they remember this one. Now, between those two dreams, people normally remember those. Mm-hmm. Now, not the previous embodiment as much, for whatever reason. They'll remember the one, maybe because they're more involved in the other one, so they'll remember that one. The one that you don't remember, when I say you, I mean people out there, not just you and myself. Mm-hmm. The one that's not remembered as much, or the dreams that are not remembered as much, or the experiences not remembered as much, are the ones where you're actually learning something. Some people actually remember these, and then they wonder what these are. And the way they go is this. You're amongst these people. You don't recognize anybody, right? They're strangers, most of them. You really don't know anyone, for the most part. Mm-hmm. But they're very nice people. You know that you're amongst nice people. But you feel like you're doing things together. It's like you're in a conference or a workshop or in a classroom. You're learning, right?
Okay.
You know that you're learning something. You just don't know what it is. Some people remember what it is. But you feel that, okay, I'm here to learn. What is it that I'm learning? Well, what are we all doing? And that's the way these come off all the time. Mm-hmm. You've had that experience.
I have.
those are the ones that people don't normally remember. Right? They'll remember, like, I went somewhere, there were all these people, but they can't give you any other details.
Right. I've had those.
So whenever people say, I had this dream, I don't remember it, oh, maybe I remember part of it, that's the one they're referring to. So let's go back to the question. What happens while you're sleeping? Well, many things happen while you're sleeping, so we don't want to spend time on everything. The main thing we want to focus on is that once we understand, and maybe not even understand, once we know that the law of karma is always at work, that we're here to balance karma, that's what we're here on earth, then this will start to make more sense to everybody, okay? We know that we have karma we need to balance. This goes a little more in depth in that when Jesus gave his life for us, when he died on the cross for us, in the Catholic Church, we're Catholics and we're told this since we're kids, right? That Jesus died for our sins. Correct?
And opened the gates of heaven for us so we can go to heaven.
Right? But I just want to focus the part about he died for our sins, right?
Right.
That God gave his only beloved Son. So that, whatever that is, what is that? What's the rest of it?
I don't know how to quote the Bible.
Okay, whatever it is, right?
Ghetto version.
And
God gave his only Son so that we could be free of our sins.
There we go. But it ties back to sin, which is karma. The misconception there is that when Jesus died for our sins, then people think that he took away all of our sins. All of our karma was erased. Well, the Ascended Masters teach us that nobody can wipe out your karma. You have to balance it. You're responsible for it. When Jesus died for our sins, he gave us this allowance where prior to Jesus dying for our sins, everybody had to balance their karma in one lifetime. You came to earth and you had to balance your karma then. And if it became too heavy, then you died, went back, and then rebody. Is really how it went. Okay? Now, after Jesus gave his life for us, the karma was broken into pieces. You know, it's like instead of making a lump sum payment, now you can stretch it out into monthly payments, or in our case, daily payments. That's what Jesus died for, so that we don't have this big burden all at once trying to handle it, because it's too much for us. Once you can't handle your karma, you die. Is really where it comes down. People are dying it's because their karma became too much. Most of them, they can't handle it. They have to go back, get recycled, as we say, and then they come back and they know what karma now they need to balance. So that's why before you come, you know what karma you're going to work on. And it's just that karma. It's not a whole bunch. So what does that have to do with anything and what we're talking about here? Well, because of that, until age 12, you're not concerned about karma because you're too young to deal with it. You're getting your foundation together. And that's why in the Bible, even Jesus, until he turned 12, he really wasn't, nothing was discussed as far as what he was doing. Obviously, he turned 12, he goes and he's preaching in the temple, right?
Right.
In different cultures, when you turn 12, you become an adult. You have the bar mitzvah with the Jewish faith. Almost every culture has something happen around 12, 13 years old. The Latinos have their thing, but that's at 15, I think. But it's right around that teenage years. That's because that's when your karma descends. We've been taught that your karma descends on a daily basis. Okay? So your job is to balance your karma on a daily basis. And if it doesn't get balanced, it rolls over to the next day. It's like a rollover plan.
Like the rollover phone plan. If you don't use it this month, you can use it next month.
That's correct. Okay, in this case though,
if you don't balance today, it moves on to the next day and the next and the next.
And that's why in Corinthians, when Peter wrote to the Corinthians, he wrote, I die daily. So it's a very important statement. And there's a saying, according to the Ascended Masters, that you should make sure that any disagreements that you have are settled before midnight every day, before the new day comes. The reason for that is you want to balance that karma before the new day comes. That's the whole idea. when Peter said he died daily, what he says that every 12 o'clock at night, the old Peter is gone because that karma for the day is gone. He wants to balance all of his karma for that day and be ready for the karma that descends the next day. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So here we are. We know that new karma is going to descend the next day. Well, God doesn't leave us unprepared. What the Ascended Masters do is they actually help us prepare for the karma that is about to descend for that coming day. Alright, so we're never by ourselves. We think we are. Now how do they help us prepare? When we go to sleep at night, our soul leaves our body every night.
Whether we know it or not.
Whether we know it or not, it leaves our body. And it goes to the appropriate retreat. And the retreat is the teaching center. Alright, the one that it needs to go to receive instruction and preparation for anything that is expected to come up the coming day, so that we know how to deal with it appropriately.
Okay.
That's called the retreat. And you might wind up being with Mother Mary one day, and Saint Germain the next day, who's Saint Joseph, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next day, or it might be Jesus. It could be any one of the Ascended Masters. You wind up spending part of the night with them, being prepared for what is coming to you that following day. So that comes to people as a dream. And that's why they remember it, because they're not prepared for it. Now what we've been told is the earlier you go to bed, normally by 10 o'clock, then your soul prepares properly to go to the retreat. The angels come, Archangel Michael, whomever your protector is, and they go with your soul and accompany it to the retreat you're supposed to go to receive training. That's how it works. That's what happens while you're sleeping. You are being trained every night and you're being prepared. Once you're done, and the training is normally done by 2 o'clock in the morning, your soul travels back to your body. And then you should be ready now to prepare for the day. So why is it that when we get up, we're not prepared for the day, or we start to get anxious? You think?
Well, my initial reaction would be because there was a possession or attachment there, but I'm not sure otherwise why we would not be prepared. I mean, we don't remember anything, so how could we be prepared?
That's why. So you're not prepared because you don't remember anything.
Oh, okay.
The question is, why don't you remember anything?
Yes,
You should remember it.
I want to remember it.
Oh, we're talking about you now? Okay, I'm
Well, I'm taking on the viewer standpoint, you know?
So
I want to remember my dreams. I know a lot of people who say that, you know, they don't have dreams. They go to sleep, they wake up, they never had any
everybody
dream.
have dreams, so we can correct
I know.
that. Everybody have dreams and have multiple dreams. But you can keep in mind that this is not a dream. So it's not like it's a dream to remember. This is your training. So why don't you remember your training? Because you weren't properly prepared. Or your frequency is so low that it's raised for you to get to the retreat. Otherwise you couldn't get there. Okay?
Okay.
But
so-
then it's lowered back to where it's supposed to be for you, where it normally is when you come back. So until you can raise that frequency, you don't remember the information that you're given. But it's not like it's taken away from you. So the more karma you balance, the more you'll remember.
So how do we prepare ourselves then so that we have a better chance at remembering these experiences while we sleep?
Well, that's for a future. We have techniques for that, right? But we don't just start teaching that to people without them being properly prepared. The best way is, number one, you go to bed when you're supposed to. If you go to bed at 1 o'clock, your soul will not be ready because...
It's after midnight.
Exactly. And it's time to come back already, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody right now is asking, okay, so then what happens to me if I work a night shift? Well, then you see the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in tune because your soul doesn't travel to the retreat. That's part of not getting that rest at night. So just to answer that question, all right, so hopefully you don't work all night, every night, your whole life. And
Well, I know
when you do
a
get
couple
to...
people who do that. They work
And-
night shift. They've been doing it for years.
So you see the thing that can affect you there, all right? Because your soul then never gets the preparation for the next day. So if you find yourself frustrated most of the time, you feel lost, that's why, because your soul is not traveling to get the training that it should receive.
Okay.
But you should go to bed, I'd say by 10 o'clock.
10 p.m. or
It's
for
not
those of
me, that's
you
what the masters say.
who use the older timeline, 2200.
Okay. If that's what my wife says, then that's what it is. So you go to bed at that point, you relax. Now you might not be able to fall asleep. I know individuals say, I can't fall asleep. But the more you practice it, after a while, you will fall asleep. It might take some time. If nothing else, if you don't remember, you'll realize that you're relaxed. When you wake up, you're relaxed. Because a lot of your questions have been answered. So you might not remember what you're supposed to do, but you wake up being relaxed for the most part. If you wake up, you're not relaxed, that means more than likely there are attachments messing with you. And that's when you reach out to us, and then we help you clear those up. But again, the more that you balance your karma, the more you'll start to remember. How do you balance the karma? The easiest way is to say the Violet Flame Decree, which we know we've handed to individuals in the past. So you start with that. Then we start to build on it, because the Violet Flame Decree, the more you say it, the more karma you're balancing. So your reception is getting better. But everybody travels to a retreat, or every soul travels to a retreat, unless if you just refuse to go. But the angels come and they accompany your soul and take you to the retreat you're supposed to go to be prepared for the next day. So if you're having experiences where you think you're amongst people, you've been taught something, or you're amongst people, you're learning something, you are at a retreat, you're remembering part of it. Or you find yourself doing something, maybe craft work or whatever it is, but you're learning. Okay, different ways of learning. You are at a retreat, and the Ascended Masters are teaching you. They're the ones that actually teach you. So we are all blessed because we all experience that. Most of us just don't remember it. But again, to do it, just say the Violet Flame, get to bed earlier, and avoid the things that will keep you up, like coffee.
Yes. Any kind of stimulant, sugars, and of course the caffeine, alcohol, all those
Most
things.
definitely, exactly. Yeah, avoid those before going to bed. That way you can be prepared. So I hope that helps.
I think so. I think that answers a question as to what happens when we sleep.
Besides snoring.
Yes, besides snoring.
Okay.
All right. If you felt this video has helped you in some way, you want to share it, please do so. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the videos, and find us at 190vision.com as well as 190vision on Facebook and Instagram.